Let's talk about the wave. The wave stitch is exclusive to Babylock. You won't see any other brands with the wave stitch. And so I forgot to bring sample fabric over here. So anyway, let's thread it. Let's show it how it's threaded. Okay, so let me switch this camera. So I'm going to take these this right now is set up for a 3-thread edge, and I'm going to put it back later, but I want to take these off. Oh, I didn't take them all off, but I'm going to take the white off because I don't want that. Or I'll leave one on. Leave one in the needle. I've got a thread net on here right now, but I'm going to take it off. I don't need it. I'm going to put it here, or here. It threads a little differently. There's a big shift, okay? So I'm going to, because with the wave stitch, a lot of thread comes out of this, the lower looper. It just coming out in droves. And what happens is, how a wave stitch is formed is on the back of the fabric. You usually have your lower looper and your upper looper and your needle right here. So what happens is, cyclically with the wave, it brings that lower looper all the way to the top and then goes back. Go back. Now, it was originally done on the old Aspire. Or an Aspire? No, it wasn't Aspire. I forgot the name of it. Anyway, it was it had manual tensioning. And it took 2 people to do the wave. Because as one person would sit there with the dials and they'd do this. Okay, so you would loosen this if you think of it as tension, you'd loosen this lower looper as you tighten this. And then you would tighten this one and loosen this one. So you would have to like be doing this in a rhythmic fashion while somebody else fed the fabric through. So it took 2 people to do it at one time. Not so much. So what they did was they went to the engineers and said, see this? This is neat, and this is how we did it. Make it happen so we don't have to be doing this all the time. So that's how the wave stitch came about. So anyway, what I'm doing is I am putting it through 2 thread guides. Now, if you have the Triumph or the Ovation, you do not need to thread them. I have it going from here to here. Oh, that isn't right. Do that again. Okay, I can't get it in there, right? Where's the end? I don't want it to twist in there. And I had, brain dump, so I don't remember. So I want it to go from here to here, because that gives a little bit more control. If you watch this thing stitch out, this lower looper thread comes flying out like a maniac. So I'm going to, let me take these old threads out. There we go. Okay, and then this is going to go here, where it normally goes. Okay. And then this would go in the lower looper. However, this thread is so wispy. Now, do you have to use woolly nylon to do the wave? No, you can use any of your thicker threads. You can use the Designer 6, Designer 7, the Filene thread, the Sulky 12 weight. Any of those thicker threads work really well in here. Candlelight looks really nice. So there's a lot of things you can do. If you read the book, what the book tells you is that you're supposed to use this, I don't even have it in here, do I? Threading wire. No, I don't. No, I don't keep the threading wire in here anyway. It's in my bag. That wire that came, they tell you to run it through the ports here. I don't like putting metal into places where I can't see where it's going. So I'm going to make what's called a thread cradle. So I'm going to lock my threading tubes down. I'm going to make a thread cradle, which means I'm going to take regular thread about 1 yard long. And I'm going to cut it, put the two cut ends together, sort of twist them. And then just put them in lower looper. Okay. And I am going to shoot it through. Oh, there we go. then it makes a little loop here. And I'm going to put this inside the loop and pull it through. You do not want to tie a knot with this machine, because there's delicate little bevels and baffles and I don't know, electronic stuff that pushes. It creates a vacuum, and if you tie a knot, you can actually damage the O-rings on there. Okay, and I'm going to use gold at the top, so I'm going to put that normally where the upper looper goes, up here. Okay, now this is the slot that the book tells you to do your upper looper. Okay, for the wave, I'm going to scoot over one. Okay, and then I'm going to use the same thread cradle. Now when you're using the thread cradle, that's fuzzy on me. When I'm using the thread cradle like this, okay, hold on to this end, because what can happen is that the pressure can go all the way out and just keep on going. Okay, and see, it came out right here. And again, I'm going to put the end into the loop, pull it through. Here we go. Sorry, I didn't mean to hit the camera. And again, this is going over, this is normally where your right needle goes, but right now we have the upper looper going in there. Why we're doing that, why we have to do that kind of things, like we're jumping through hoops here, is because since there are no tensions here, there are steel plates inside of here, and they pull a distance of thread based on one of 4 formulas, A, B, C, or D. And then it goes to wave. So you have different formulas, and it depends on how far those plates go back and forth and pull the thread as to what kind of so-called tension you get on there. So with the wave, you've got these 4 settings, and with the wave, you've got the other 4 settings. That sets it up for the wave stitch. And then I'm going to put my thread here, which is my needle thread, and I'm using the right needle. Can you use the left? Well, the book doesn't talk about it, but yeah, we've done it before with using a left needle. I've already got it set for the right needle, and let me thread that. Doing my least favorite thing in the whole world is threading needles. Which means if you've got the Triumph, that's solved for you. There. The other thing I like about the Triumph and the Ovation is that the press-a-foot lever isn't back here. So, especially if I'm doing a covered or a chain stitch, the threads are right here, so I'm always getting my fingers caught in threads. Okay, so let me run and go get the little cheat sheet, and we'll look at that. Here we go. Where's the wave? The wave is right here. Okay, the 3-thread wave stitch is what we're doing. Okay, and it has told us that we are using that 02 needle. My stitch length is 1 to 2.5, and I pretty much just use 1. Okay, my stitch width is 5.0, which is actually the widest it will go. So I'm turning, let me look down here. I'm turning this upper dial all the way as big as it will go. The other thing too here, let's get that, is my stitch selector is at B, and that's over here, so that's over on this side to B. Sometimes they're inside the door right here. And wave selector is on W. I don't care about the chain and looper tension or needle tension. My upper looper selector is up. That's that thing. I have the blade, the knife cover on. The knife cover's on and my blade is up. In other words, it doesn't say lock right here. If it's locked, it'll say, well, it says lock right here. You just have to trust me, okay? Okay, and what else? And the subsidiary looper oops, right here, is disengaged, which is this thing that looks like a safety pin. It is on over to the right. Okay, and you'll notice it's showing here that it's going through, oh, I have it going the other way. It's okay. Through 2 loops. This one is going into this position, and your needle is into what is normally your left needle position. Okay, now other thing is when you're creating the wave stitch, you do not want to sew like your hair's on fire. You want to slow down. I'll just, that's used. Okay, so I'm going to do wave stitch on this. So, like I said, the thread is coming out so fast. I want to unlock the blue. Oh, it would help to unlatch my threading tubes. Okay, so I want it to cut. Raise that blade. Come on, blade, all the way up. Let's go. There we go. Okay, another thing I like to do is once I have it threaded over here, I like to grab these threads with the presser foot up and pull back. Anytime I thread the machine, I usually will hold on to these threads, raise the presser foot, and pull back on these threads so that I make sure they're all well seated into the wherever slot or whatever they need to go. You don't want to thread these machines, at least the loopers, with that presser foot down, because there's a little latch at the top when it is, you can't see it, but when the top is off. I can see it when Justin works on one. But what it is there's a bar that goes across here. When the presser foot is up, then that bar comes across and it keeps things from getting in the path. When you lower, when you lower the presser foot, it locks. Well, I can sort of see it. What it does, when it's open, it opens the discs that hold the thread, and there's like a bar across, so it comes across and opens the bar. When this presser foot is down, there's a bar that keeps the thread from going into the path. So therefore, you may not get good tensions. So always check those threads. Okay. Alrighty. And also the other thing is when you're forming the wave stitch, you do not want to sew like your hair's on fire. Because you want to slow down, sew at a moderate pace. And here it goes. That's 2. And you always do a test to see what kind of length you're going to get out of it. I like it. Well, I'll show you. I did it at 0.75, which is really tiny. It really bothers me not to floor this thing. Let's take a look at this. Okay. Here was it at like 1.5, and there's it at 1, and this is at 0.75, and I think that just with this thread, now every thread's going to be different. With this thread, I think that gives you a really pretty stitch, and it's a really nice wave stitch. Okay, the other thing is look at the back. See, you see mostly blue. Let's see, can't hardly see that. It's kind of blue there, and so it's pulled it to the back. See. So if you get a little bit of gapping, that's usually trouble with it spooling off, and that fixes just by redistributing, and the gaps go away. See, looks nice. Okay, now there's another wave stitch, which is the rolled wave stitch. The rolled wave, the setup is the same, and that's the 3-thread rolled wave right here. The only difference here is that you are going to put it rolled 1, and then of course that's the whitest. Stitch selector is going to be C, and everything else stays the same. So we want this on rolled 1, so which means on this big dial at the bottom, I'm going to go past 0 and go 1 click into 1, maybe, and then I want to change this to C. The stitch selector, which is over on this side, is C. This, when I first saw this, I was way not impressed with this stitch. I thought, so what? You know, I wasn't impressed at all. until I found a use for it, because now I really like it. So here I'll just do it on 2 layers. Can be 1. I'll do it on 1. Usually the way this one is done on 1 layer. Okay. Again, you don't want to sew like your hair is on fire. Now this one I took a slightly longer length because I just know from experience that at 0.75 with this thread it looks kind of bunched up. And see, here's the rolled wave. Get it better. See, that's better lighting. You can see that. See, it looks like, it almost looks like piping, which is what exactly I like this stitch for. I use this as piping. And I will cut strips of it. You know, like I'll just have long strips. Just take, oh, these poor scissors. I need to take these over to the shop when I go next. They need sharpening. See, then I take it and make long strips of this stuff. And then what I put it inside my binding. And it really makes an interesting quilt binding. Or it looks good inserted into quilt binding. Now there's another one called the reverse wave. And I'm not totally thrilled with this one. The reversed wave. What the reversed wave does is it puts a little bit of color on both sides. It puts both colors on both sides. Now for this, I do need to undo these loopers. So redo my loopers. So I'm going to cut the loopers out. Alrighty, and I have lost the thread cradle, which is the nice thing about the thread cradle. If you lose one, you can always find thread and make another one. Okay, so I'm going to lock my threading tubes. And here's my thread cradle. Cut and twist. Try not to lick it. I do it a lot, but try not to. Okay, I'm going to run this through the upper looper. There it is. But instead of putting this upper looper thread through, this is the upper looper thread, but instead of putting that one through, I'm going to put the thread in the lower looper slot in here. So we're going to crisscross these is what we're doing. Okay, and I'll run that through again. Oops. Into the lower looper port. This is the lower looper port. Come on, in there. Come on, don't be stupid. Let's go. There we go. Whoops. Okay, why are we not going? Okay. There we go. I was holding on to it too hard. Okay, and then put this in here. And it's crisscrossed. Okay. And let's see if there's anything else I need to do. So for this reversed wave, let's see, I need to, 2 length is 1 to 2.5, so I'm going to go back past the 0 and go into 1 regular. With this 5 again, that's still there. My stitch selector is at B again, and then everything else is the same. Okay, so here's the third one, and I will compare them all. And this is alrighty. Go there. got the 0.75 with this thread. Okay, let's take a good look at this stitch. Let's get more light here on it. That's my messy table. Yes, I know it's messy. Okay, yeah, we can see that better. This is the regular wave. Get this stuff out of here. Okay, here's the regular wave. And it would cyclically, there's what the back looks like. This one you have a little bit of the gold on the front and a little bit of blue on the back. To me it looks like it's halfway done, like it didn't work right. So this is not my favorite one, but it does have its purpose, especially in something that is going to be seen from both sides. So that's pretty much it for the wave. Let's see, any questions about the wave? So, alrighty, you have a great week. If I don't see you Saturday, have a great weekend and hope to see you next week. Bye. Love you guys.